Okay, welcome to Between Three Rivers. Today we've got a team chat conversation with myself, Bill Korshid, Dan Copeland, and we got Jake Tomlinson here.
Hey.
He's been with us this whole time, but he's never been on camera, so we thought, hey, maybe today's the day, and he chose that outfit.
Yeah. I didn't realize I was going to be on camera. Probably wouldn't have wore shorts, so everyone's staring at my huge thighs the entire time, but it's okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
But also we have a terrific team in the studio. If they could introduce themselves, that'd be great as well.
Yo, what's up? I'm Kyle.
Hi, I'm Brianna.
Awesome. Well, it's been about 6 months now, Dan, that we've been doing this. About 6 shows.
Yep.
I know that for myself, I've really enjoyed it. It's been, I guess, one of those things that like you don't know what to expect when you start, but then you start getting into it, and you're like, I'm learning a lot from these people, these guests. I'm learning a lot about myself as well, just because when I talk to people face to face like this, it's kind of not what you do every day this way. So it's interesting that way. How would you say you rate this experience, Dan?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll tell anybody else who asks me that question, is that in the beginning, I wasn't really excited about the idea. And so I did it a little bit reluctantly, although I didn't make it feel that way to you, but I was a little concerned. And since that time, I've come to really enjoy the show, enjoy our guests, enjoy working with the people here, and as well as our team that has kind of come and gone a little bit. But I love doing this show. I love listening to our guests. I love hearing their stories, and it's fun when somebody randomly says, "Hey, you're the podcast guy." And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I am. And so, but people tell me, oh, I love your show. I saw the one with whoever it might have been, one of our guests, and I haven't heard a bad word yet. Now maybe those people are just keeping their mouths shut, but I think it's getting people like it, and that makes me feel really good about doing this.
And you were never always the podcast guy. You were always I
was the magazine
guy.
yeah, right.
So,
right.
Hey, that's pretty neat. And, I was thinking about this the other day because someone was asking me, like, why podcast? And I was like, well, I've always wanted to do one. And then I saw Dan Copeland at Meijer. And I didn't say this at Meijer, but I was thinking it. We were both rushing around the produce section. And I was like an aha moment. I was like, oh my gosh, Dan and I should start a podcast. He's got the network, the experience of, business and whatnot. And I was like, I wish I would have like confronted you then, but that was the moment, by the way.
I don't remember seeing you.
I know, right?
Just saw your brain working. You're like, shouldn't have gotten groceries that day.
Yeah. You were halfway through your checklist too. It was good.
Okay. All right. Well, so how long ago was that?
It was about a month before I asked you. So that was November.
Okay. So pretty recent, pretty close to when you brought it up. Yeah.
And the whole like concept of this podcast really evolved. It wasn't so much like I knew or we knew what we were doing. It was more, hey, let's feel this out. Let's bring some cool guests in. But now it's become this like hub, this like spot for people to find new things about some of these community leaders. And, if we can get 1 or 2 people every single show learning something new, I think that's a huge win for us.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think the other really important part of it is to allow our viewers and listeners to get to know the guests in a much more, I don't want to say intimate, but maybe it is, in a much more personal way.
Right.
Than just happening to see something being written about those folks or somehow hearing maybe on TV. Here they get to talk about themselves and share that with this audience, which I think is phenomenal.
Right. And every single time we've had somebody on here, I learned something new from them, like that I didn't know about them. And then our guests are the same way. They always tell me like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea that they did that.
So speaking of that, are we going to share a little bit about ourselves in this session?
I think it's time,
Okay.
get real uncomfortable with it, right? Because for one, we've been doing the kind of interviewing, I guess, to our guests, having the conversation with them, but we've never really done it to ourselves, I guess.
Let's get vulnerable.
Right? Is that the word?
Vulnerable here.
So,
Okay.
I think it'll be interesting for me because I never really do that. I never like open up in that way. And so, I mean, we were just chatting before this, Dan, your like upbringing and everything was, interesting to me because we've known each other for a long time. I had no idea where you came from.
Yeah. You touched on something there, Billy. And I lost the thought, but yeah. So people look at me as a business guy, kind of I hate to use these terms, but a community leader to some extent. I don't necessarily see myself that way, but I think sometimes people might view me
Absolutely,
like that.
absolutely.
And when I look at where I came from, what my beginnings were, it's a very different world in which I live. And so I was born and raised in Jackson, Michigan, and my dad worked in a factory for 40 years, and most people probably wouldn't guess that. I don't know what they would think, but my dad worked in a factory for 40. We lived in a neighborhood that was a pretty interesting place, and sometimes it wasn't particularly safe. And in fact, I remember one night, middle of the night, I woke up as a kid, and I could see the reflections on the curtains on my window from the emergency vehicle flashers. Right. And sat up and looked out the window, and there were all kinds of police cars and ambulances and all kinds of things. And there was a shooting right there across the street, right directly across the street from the house. And, we were used to not necessarily shootings, but difficult things going on in people's lives were right there in our neighborhood. My family was a pretty normal family in spite of where we lived, but that's where I grew up. And today it's a rough. You probably really wouldn't want to go there after dark today. It's a rough spot, right. And so I decided I didn't want to live in that kind of world, and so ever since then I have been working really hard to build a different life.
Right. And one thing that we hit on in our previous conversation together was, and I think about this because we spend about 25% of our lives in like a school where you're around other kids. You're kind of trying not to just be yourself. You're like acting as like a group sometimes. And that's one thing that I think I struggled with is, being myself, being like not someone that's around you, and doing what, and we talked about this. It's like, some people come from this, some people come from that. Right. And I think with your experience, it was like, some of your friends, you wanted, to be like them. Right.
Oh, absolutely. So that's what you're talking about.
Right.
You want to fit in with that group, so you tend to kind of alter your own being so you can fit in.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think that's, Jake, would you say that's kind of like I know you're a bit younger than me, but not much younger than me. When you went through like schooling, did you ever, and I'll get back to me, but like, you ever feel that way?
Yeah. I mean, that's just people mirror others. I think that's something that we do without even thinking about it, and especially as kids. You're like, oh, a kid that I think is cool is goofing off in the middle of class. I'll start goofing off because then he's going to think I'm pretty cool. You know what I mean? Right. And then like that can lead to whatever it might, whatever that kid happens to do. Like, you know what I mean? And he's being brought up completely different as you, but you guys are going to start to act the same way.
Right.
So yeah, no, absolutely.
Well, you don't want to get too far away from the norm. You're going to get your ass kicked.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, yeah. Kind of want to stay in the middle.
Right. And so you start like, thinking like, all right, well, I'm not even thinking for myself in a way. And that's where like, I'm not saying I'm yet to be 100% authentic, but
you want to be an individual still.
Right.
Find out who that is.
Yeah. So when I like, a little bit of background there coming into that is, growing up, it was kind of like I had no idea what I was getting myself into. Was, you know, my dad had said, "All right, come work for the shop," and I'm like, "All right, well, great."
At what age were you when he asked you to do that?
Pretty young. I was pretty young.
Yeah.
And I remember I was in there and everyone's drinking black coffee. I'm like, I'll try some black coffee. And I literally spit it right back out. I was like, but I was essentially a janitor. So I was cleaning behind the machines. I was cleaning the bathrooms and all these different things. You know, and I'm like, all right, you know, I'm making money. It's good. You know, but now I'm looking back at that. I'm like, I was 100% on purpose.
Yeah. Character builder.
To, yes, build character and, you know, realize that I needed to go to school. I needed to make something for myself and not live for someone else or something else, right? And so from there, I went to school. You know, I got a business degree at Purdue and whatnot. And even 3 years into schooling, though, I'm like, I don't know what I want to do with this, you know? And it was finally my senior year. I did this industrial technology course. And I went to a different factory in town. I think it was like it was Caterpillar in West Lafayette. And I realized, I was like, you know what? I'm really good at figuring out solutions for these companies. And so I got like Six Sigma. I got all these different quality things going. And I was like, I'm actually pretty good at this thing, you know? And that's what led me back to the family business. Because, you know.
Did you have any aspirations prior to that for coming back and getting into the family business?
Right. So like, it was always I always work in the summers. I would work in, you know, sales and things for the company and stuff. But it was never like, I just didn't know. I really didn't know.
Yeah. And what was your dad telling you the whole time? Was he saying anything to you?
No. He's like, hey, and I think that's what helps, right? Because you want to think for yourself. You want to
let you figure it out.
And I think that helped me. It really did. And so when I got out of school, I actually was running one of our companies right after school. So it was like, all right, let's go. You know, I joke with people. I'm like, you know, it's like when you buy a business, when you start a business, when you do different things that way, you're grabbing this like 1,000-pound bag and someone's handing it to you. And you're like, all right, pick that up. Start it. And you're like, how? And how do I pick that up?
Mm-hmm.
And
you've been carrying that thing. You know the form. I don't. It's hitting the ground.
It's almost like you have a whole bunch of those bags sitting around. You got to pick all of them up at some point.
Let me figure this out. Yeah,
exactly. So I think about it like that as well, and I'm just now humbled by my experience of just like coming from where I came from. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And it's like 100% like mental. You got to keep going. You know what I mean?
Do you feel like you ever got it figured out to the point where you can be you most of the time? Or do you feel like you're constantly trying to fit yourself into those places, for instance, say at work, where you're doing what you think you need to be doing versus what you as an individual would do? Does that make any sense?
It does. Do you think about that too? Because honestly, like, well, I do. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I as a kid, hang in there, Jake. We're coming to you.
Yeah.
But as a kid, I can remember very distinctly doing the kinds of things you're talking about. Always trying to make sure I got along with everybody. Mm-hmm. Okay, because we had some bad kids. By the way, I don't think I mentioned it, but all those flashers from those emergency vehicles, there was a shooting that's why they were, I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but someone was shot that night. But so there were rough kids in the neighborhood. There were not so rough kids. And a lot of times they didn't get along and there would be fighting going on. So I always managed to try and walk that very narrow line right down the middle. And in large part, it was a matter of kind of being a chameleon and adjusting my personality to fit with these various groups. Mm-hmm. So I am a kind of a conglomeration of all of these different things that I've experienced, which I guess we're all products of our environments, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, who I am is what's come from all the things that I've gone through, what I found that work, what I found that doesn't work, and the things that don't work, I just try to get rid of those and hang on to the ones that do. And that's what I've always done. So yeah, I still, to this day, I'm always adjusting to my environment, always.
Right.
Jake.
I think that's, I mean, as like a, Jake, I feel like your career is like, you graduated how many years ago?
I graduated from college.
Right from college.
2020. So about 4 years ago.
4 years. So like your career of like path, you're still adjusting, where you're at and everything. How's that going?
Good. No.
It's good.
Yeah. No.
Where'd you go to school?
Ball State, Chirp.
Ball State.
So yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, I was kind of like how you were describing. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Even like you said, you just want to fit in, and it's the thing that you see nowadays. Kids are like not doing it nearly as often, but going to Dwenger, going to college preparatory school, you're like, I'm going to go to college. Looking back, it's not that I necessarily needed to, but I got into it. I started off as a wildlife biology major because I was like, hey, I like animals. That's fun. And then I had chemistry, psychology, biology all at the same time. I'm like, this is not as fun.
No, it isn't.
That's a lot. That's a
So
lot.
it's a lot of work, and it's a first semester and all 8 a.m.s. Shout out the person who put together my schedule.
That was a lot of ologies.
Yeah, and then math, all that stuff, all at the same time. And I'm like, you know what? I was like, I'm not enjoying myself now, and I don't know if I want to not enjoy myself for 4 years to find something that will just have me working sometimes with stuff I like. So, I mean, just figuring that out and then switching to business because it was just more broad. I can do a lot more with it. I was like, I can have pets. I have a few lizards now. I have a dog. But yeah, it was just, it helps that I have so many, family members, but siblings, specifically. I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters. So a lot of people to talk to and help mentor me. So,
And where do you fit into the lineup?
I am the 6th of 7. So,
all right.
Yeah, I had
Really?
one person I could beat up on, and then a bunch of others that could beat up on me.
You could beat up on the girls.
No, they probably beat you
No,
up.
but but they were definitely allowed to beat up on me. I mean, even going to Dwenger and having that many kids, they're gonna know your family, and they'll know like, oh, that's Gabby's his older sister. So, like, I'd be walking in the halls, and she would just body check me into the lockers. And I was look, I'd be like, Miss Williams, look it. And he's like, whatever.
That's your
sister.
Doesn't count.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. And so, we could get away with a bunch of stuff that
That's
we
funny.
probably weren't able to. I stole a bunch of stuff from my little brother's locker one time accidentally. We were just like going through, a locker opened up. We were just like, who's this? It just happened to be my
even
brother.
know it was his?
No. Because
So you would have stolen it no matter whose it was.
No, we weren't going to steal it. We were just like, hey, let's just see if any of these are, we didn't even have a plan. We were just waiting around after lunch, and just one opened up, and then like I looked at a book, and I was just like, that's my brother. And I was like, all right, let's see it looks like his is the first shelf. This is all mine. And then so I just took it, and I literally told a teacher, I was like, hey, I'm just messing with my brother. Can I put this stuff in your room? All right, Mr. Tomlinson, get out of here. It's fine, Mr. Kenny. But
So he let you do that.
he let me do it. I was like, I'll be back. Forgot. Totally forgot.
So he was an accomplice.
Yeah, so I got called to the principal's office for that. But they let me off because they're like, it's brother messing with brother. There was no ill intent. No harm.
So I have a question about this because you graduated from Ball State 4 years ago, and today you're a business owner.
Yeah. So it was kind of just falling into it. Right place, right time. I'll always say very blessed with my family that I was born with, and then people that came into my life. So, like I said, right place, right time, kinda, because when I was graduating in 2020, I think we all remember there was a little thing going on at that time. And so as I'm about to graduate, I don't think anyone's really hiring because no one knows what the hell is going on. So I was just lucky enough and blessed that Billy and Amanda were like, hey, Amanda had seen Alphalit. She had looked into it, talked about it with Bill, and they're like, hey, we want to bring it to Fort Wayne. We're going to need help. So then
Amanda being your sister,
Yep.
Billy's wife.
Yes. Sorry for
Just
those.
to clarify for
Oh,
that.
yeah,
no,
absolutely.
it's
For those who don't know.
Right.
So just blessed with that opportunity, and then helping them do that, and then beginning of this year, kind of like taking it on more full time, just pretty much running it myself, always having them to talk to for advice and everything. But doing that, and then just and then telling me like, hey, like I think I do want to do some other stuff. I'll keep doing all of this, but I want to adventure into some other things, getting into sales. And then from there, just making connections and then just making friends and being like, hey, do you want to help produce my podcast? After a month of knowing someone, I'm like, I've never done that, but I'll try. And then however, 3 years later, now that's why we're here. That's how Billy was like, hey, do you want to help us with this?
Well, clarify that one too, because
Right.
you're not talking about this podcast.
No,
We're talking about
Yeah, so I've been podcasting for about 3 years with my buddies. It was my boss, but now just my friends that I do it with. It's called These Dads Suck. Don't look it up. But no, just through that process, I learned how to do it. And then just, learning how to produce a podcast, edit, all that good stuff. I was able to help you guys start it up with the editing and everything.
Yeah.
And then now I do
awesome.
one for my girlfriend, Sipping with Styled. So look that one up.
Yeah.
you're becoming a podcast guru. So
Guru, I was
to
gonna say
speak.
guru. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. I would never say anything that's like podcasting, social media. People can call themselves experts, but the thing about it is if you don't stay consistent or stay very involved with it, because it's a very fast and changing environment, you're gonna lose it very quick. So people that stay in that world and like continuously learn and are open to learning and saying that there's always something that I can learn, that's how you get good at it. So, I mean, which can go for anything. But, so yeah, I mean, that's opened up other doors for, companies I'm going to be working for now,
Yeah, awesome.
doing more podcasting. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being a chameleon is good,
It's to me, it's the only way to survive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's kind of interesting, and I think about this often too, is like what leads you to the next thing, right? You kind of stuck it out with, Business People magazine for a long time now, but it also led to different community driven projects for you, right? And
Absolutely.
you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
then now we're doing this, but what were some of those stepping stones for you?
Well, business wise, I
Right,
guess.
right.
We started, I started the company from scratch. I moved down here I went to school at Western Michigan. Obviously, you guys weren't able to get into Western. You had to go somewhere else.
Right.
But
Gross. Sorry.
I went
Mac school rivals.
it is a Mac school. I can give you that. And so I knew I wanted to start the business. I needed somewhere to do it. So looked at all these towns. Fort Wayne came out kind of the shining star back 37 years ago. And turned out to be everything we thought it would be and more. So we published one magazine. It was called, well, for the sake of this conversation, Business People Magazine. And then we realized, hey, there's a need for some other publications. So we started producing others. We produced our Business Women publication, a wedding planning publication, a lifestyle. And then we started taking on projects for community organizations in the area. And we do a number of those, Junior Achievement, the Auburn Court Duesenberg Festival. And we're very grateful to all of our organizations that allow us to help them with their publications, as well as all of our advertisers and readers. So it just kept evolving. And then we got into a situation where I thought, I'm not sure what's happening with printed materials, newspapers, magazines, those types of things. I thought, we probably should really look at doing something beyond the print world. And a number of our advertisers, oftentimes they would be doing an ad campaign and they'd say, hey, by the way, we're doing this ad campaign, but we need to get some stuff with our logo. Where should we get anybody that sells that stuff?
Right.
So we'd always refer them to, I don't know, somebody else. And I thought, well, that's stupid. Why would we keep doing that? So I decided that this is probably a pretty good opportunity to jump into the promotional product, logo clothing stuff. So our BP Promos company was born. I think that was back in like 2010, maybe. And that has actually, it's grown really well, and it's now probably 3 to 4 times the size of anything else we do. Mm-hmm. But also, forgive me for going on here, but back around that same period of time, the management at the airport came to me and they said, "Hey, we need someone to sell the advertising in the airport. Are you interested in doing this?" And our office is out by Northrop High School, and I thought, I don't think so, because I don't want my sales staff going back and forth on the freeway all day long selling ads at the airport. Anyway, they in the end, they talked me into it. It was kind of a funny thing. I won't go into the details, but they talked me into it, and it turned out that it worked pretty well. And so here we are 14, maybe 15 years later, and I think I can speak on behalf of the airport. They like having us do it for them. I think we do a really good job, and
looks really good.
We've grown ad sales probably 4 or 5 times what they used to be, and so that's where we are. Those are the 3 things: publishing and the magazines. By the way, have kind of held their own, and they're okay too. So it's all those 3 pieces are working.
Well, that's a great point, because you didn't stick to just one thing. You saw some things happening, and you're like, all right, we got to keep elevating this. And it was because of the people you knew, right? From past experience.
It's all about relationships. Everything.
Right. And, that's kind of like where we are as a family business too. It's like, we can't just put all our eggs in one basket and have just one type of manufacturing. We have to have, we do have automation. We have plastics, we have metals, we have wiring.
Are all the businesses in your, how many are there, and are they all manufacturing companies?
There are 9 companies, and they're all are manufacturing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're all just different. We do share some of the same customers, which is nice, because we can say, go check with this person, you know what I mean? But it's.
And how many employees?
Oh total? Man, I'd say it's got to be around 800.
800 employees.
Yeah, employees about. And
that's pretty big payroll.
Right. And I actually asked my dad, I was like, you got to come on this podcast, tell your story. So I don't want to ruin that story for him.
Okay.
But it is amazing. I mean, him coming from Iran and going to Kansas City, because that's where he was able to get into, and then going from there, Chicago, getting engineering degree and stuff like that. But like, those like stories are motivating to me as well. Those people you look up to, and I think that when we have these chats and stuff, that's what it's about,
And you're running one of the businesses.
Correct. So Braylon Laser Services is where I'm at every day. And it's funny because that's my, priority, right? For work. But I always like to do some of these other extra things, just to add on to my, like, I guess, creativity, and maybe find some different community, relationships, like these podcasts and different avenues, right?
Volunteer. You do some volunteer work. I know you're working with, most recently, JA. You're kind of back in the fold there.
Right. Getting on some boards, helping out the community in that way. So it's definitely keeps you, I guess, your plate. You want to, how full do you want your plate? Do you want it really full so you don't have to maybe think about so much, or do you want it? That's the,
well, and and you didn't bring it up, and I forgive me, but you got a family too. You got a brand new baby and 2 other kids, and so that's got to keep you guys pretty busy.
Absolutely. That's what it's about too. Is like, I tell everybody, like, those kids, my family, that's why I do what I do every day. That's why I get up, because I want to be a good role model to them. Yeah. And I always say, I was like, I want my kids to be better than me, like a lot better than me. And that's why I was like, have those conversations with them. And I like to talk to my kids like they're adults in a way, just be like very like authentic with them. You know what I mean? not baby them. They're like, they're gonna. So it's a crazy world,
Like, hey, we got a staff meeting here in 10 minutes.
Yeah, right. Is that what it is? Yeah. Come on in to the meeting.
So they're used to
Get your
it.
coffee.
When other people talk to them like that, they're not gonna be caught off guard. They're like, oh, I'm here. I've been here. This
Right.
is what I do.
Right. Well, like I was dropping them off today, and there was like a check-in thing for this camp, and they asked me like what his name is, and I'm like, no, he's right here. He's like,
I know he's little, but he is a person.
Yeah.
So you can you can ask him that question.
And I think it's a pretty big mistake when the parents are doing all the answering of the questions for these kids. I think it's a real disservice to the kid.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Because then it'll even come to like when you're older and it's like, hey, like talk to the person that's like you're ordering a pizza and they'll be scared. Like I remember being very nervous to even like talk on the phone like that when I was little. Like that's so silly. Like it's like no, if you do it like you do and just have them always be comfortable talking, it's gonna be very beneficial for when they're older.
Right. And people always say this too, is like, don't solve their problems for them either.
Yeah. Let them figure it out.
Let them figure it out.
I can tell you, as a kid, I was always intimidated speaking to adults, even as a high school or even college kid, speaking with adults that appeared to me to be very successful people. I was always really intimidated because I'd never been around that. And I was really intimidated by those people. And I would say some of the most stupid things, trying to fit in,
Right.
trying to be that chameleon.
Right.
And sometimes I think they looked at me and thought, oh my gosh, what's wrong with this guy?
Well, it's
Rough times.
right.
Are we good on time here?
Yeah, I think we're good on time. Was your phone ringing?
No.
A chance? Okay, cool.
where'd
Just
my
wanted to double
phone-
check. I felt a vibration, so
My phone's over there.
Well, so Andrea can't be with us today, but she printed out some little questions for us
Yeah.
to ask each other. And I
And,
thought
just to clarify for who Andrea is,
Yeah,
she's
right.
a co-producer with Jake, and she's also my better half, my wife, and so that's who Andrea is. And so
Yeah,
she's the
did some
voice
que-
of God that usually comes in.
Yeah, right.
She is. Yeah, she is.
keep us
The voice of reason.
keeping us in line, right? So yeah, there's a few on here. I think that some of them are pretty actually kind of funny. Dan, do you have a time that you laughed so hard that you almost wet yourself?
All right, we're supposed to be getting vulnerable here in this
Yeah.
conversation, right?
Right.
I know a few people know this about me, but probably most do not. When I was in 7th grade, and back in the day, 7th grade was the first year of junior high school. Okay? Junior high school doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
Now it's elementary and middle and high school, but 7th through 9th, 7, 8, and 9 were junior high. So it's the first year of school where you go from class to class to class. You move around during the day. So I got into a class or leaving the class with a few minutes to get from one class to the next, but I had to go to the bathroom. I had to pee. And I was afraid to be late for class.
Oh no.
So I went in the classroom instead and peed my pants.
Oh no.
In 7th grade.
Wait, did you laugh when you did that?
No, it wasn't very funny.
Oh,
There was
So-
nothing funny
so I
about
guess
that
it
at all.
so okay. So the last time you laughed so hard, you wet yourself. I guess you just skipped the laugh and you just wet yourself.
Forget the laughing part of it.
Oh man.
I know I'm making you guys uncomfortable.
no,
No, it's good. It's good.
That's fine.
I did not know where that was going. Let's just say that.
No, as far as laughing and peeing, no, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, because it was the last time you laughed so hard, and you were like, "Well, when I was in 7th grade,"
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
"That's, I mean, like this is gonna be a good story, but that's sad, I think."
It's a sad story. It's very sad. So everyone, please feel sorry for me.
No, that's funny.
Okay, so I don't have anybody else. You guys laugh and
I mean, this is bad because it was just a video on social media I saw, but I don't know why, because you see so many videos online all the time, and you just get so whatever, you're just swiping through, and this is another moment that this person would not think is funny, but it was a video of someone getting ready to propose to their would-be wife in the bathroom. And
In the bathroom?
And they're waiting in the bathroom, and everyone's on a plane waiting for them to come out so that she'll be surprised and she's getting proposed to. And they're all waiting, so they're all really quiet and like someone's filming to like watch it. And she starts letting out the loudest farts that you've heard in the bathroom. I started crying. I started crying laughing. And I was like, this poor couple captured this moment, but it brought so much joy to me.
Oh no.
So I did not pee my pants.
So
but
did he follow through with the proposal, or did you
the
call it off
video
at that
cut
point?
because the person's like, oh.
Yeah, maybe we won't do this time.
Yeah.
Maybe we won't go through with this.
But so I definitely didn't pee, but I was crying. That's for
no.
sure.
All right, Billy,
Oh,
what about
geez.
you? What's your story?
Thanks a lot, Andrea. I'm going to switch it up because I've never done that.
I don't pee my pants.
Yeah, right. Thanks, though, guys. One piece of technology what piece of technology could you live without?
Well, I'm sorry.
Could
what
you
was
not
that
live
one?
without?
It says, what piece of technology could you live without?
Oh.
I didn't hear the question. What is it?
What piece of technology could you live without?
Live without?
Yeah. So that one for me is tough because we talk about this on this all the time. Like, we need our stuff.
That's taking a step backwards.
Right. And I've realized since we've had these conversations about phones and things like that, I've tried to get my screen time down, but it's hard. I've got calls, I've got emails, I've got the social stuff on there. So I'm like, you can go in there, you can like check what you do the most on there. But
Yes.
my productivity section is pretty high. So it's like, how do I go without using it?
I don't think you do. I think it's important.
It's part of life for now,
Yeah.
right? So that question is like,
It's
I
all
saw
about
that.
self-restraint when it comes to your phone.
Right.
Because you can do the timers and it'll say, oh, you're not allowed to watch. Like you can set it to where I only look at social media for 30 minutes a day, an hour a day, however long you want to do. And then it'll tell you. But then it's super easy to just like ignore. So it's just your self-restraint and you know what I mean? Just having that, telling yourself, being the boss of yourself. Like, no, I'm done with this.
Yeah, I actually
Let's
have
move
had
on.
those where like you can check those off.
Oh, yeah.
And I always press ignore.
Dismiss.
Yeah.
So
But yeah.
when do you let your kids have a telephone? At what age do you think that's appropriate?
That's such
Is
a
there
great
any?
question. I don't know the answer
Yeah.
because my kids are now 5, 2, and new, and I'm like, when is that?
You were waiting to pull that one out, weren't you? 5'2"
and new.
5'2" and new. You're like, ooh, I'm gonna save that one.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Wait. We didn't answer the question.
All
I'm
right,
sorry.
go.
I'm
What's
sorry.
the question?
No, the question was, what piece of technology can you
right.
live without? That you can
Yeah,
do away with.
I like them all. I don't have one that I would get rid of.
I mean, it's a layout. You can take the fax machine. That's fine. Take it away.
Fax machines?
Yeah.
I think it is gone.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's still a thing.
I don't know
It's still a
because
thing.
at work there's one customer that always faxes their orders in.
Yeah.
You know who they are? The Amish community.
Amish. Yeah, I was about
Oh,
to
the
say,
Amish.
I had some
Yeah.
Amish customers.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's,
Then
it's
you
needed
can't,
a little
you
bit.
can't get rid of it.
But no, I know. But for me, I would be completely fine. So you can take that away.
You can have that $100 order.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't even begin to try to tell you the last time I received a fax or sent a fax. I don't have the capacity to do those things.
Right. For me, I think I have like the dual monitor at work. Just take one of my screens. You can have the other.
Yeah.
I mean, because you can even email the fax with just
Right.
the number. So it's like, I don't know. Yeah, just get a computer. Go to a library, please. Let's see. Which one did you have one in mind?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. What did you want to be when you were a kid? When you grow up, when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
That's pretty on point with our conversation today. Yeah. Were you asking me?
Both of you.
I felt like I was like, when I was a kid, I was like, I'm going to be a basketball star.
Because you're so tall.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I went to high school and they said, you're not tall enough.
So it was like freshman year that you're like, you know what?
Yeah. But seriously.
I think I'm done growing.
Yeah. But it was crazy. That's one of those things too. It's just like you play all your kid life and then you get to high school and you're like, well, I'm not playing. That
Yeah,
kinda
wait.
stinks.
What? Well, you could be a jockey.
Yeah.
What about you, Jake? What are you?
I wanted to be Steve Irwin, essentially. I wanted to do that.
Oh.
That's where the whole like wildlife biology comes from. I've always had
that's
pets.
Fascinating. So you watched that TV show?
Oh, yeah. Crikey.
That was an awesome TV show.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I still remember where I was when I heard he passed away. So,
Yes.
but yeah, I mean, I grew up pretty much at a lake catching turtles, snakes, frogs. Would always keep them throughout the summer and stuff. I have 2 leopard geckos right now. I had a snapping turtle for a while. Caught him when he was about size of like maybe a little over a quarter, and then he got about this big, so maybe like 18 inches or so.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was a beast. And
What'd you feed him?
He ate a bunch of fish, worms, stuff like that. And like I couldn't plant any type of plant within his tank because he would just rip it up. But yeah, those are interesting because it was not like you think of a turtle, whatever. It's a snapping turtle. That thing will get way bigger than that drum set right there. And he was a beast. So I was like, I had him in like a 100-gallon like tub thing. That was like an insert for a pond that I kept inside. But
You kept him inside?
oh yeah,
Did you ever get bitten?
no. I've been around it my whole life.
All your fingers good?
Yeah, no. I've been around it my whole life. So I mean, I know how to go about it. And he became pretty tame over the years.
Wow.
So, but I mean, like he would still hunt for fish and everything. So like I knew that he could still survive in a pond.
Yeah. Did you let him go?
Yep. Let him go in a pond. Parents of a friend. So I was just like, yeah, I can always, keep in contact, be like, hey, did you see him? Stuff like that. But yeah. And then my dog now is named Steve after Steve Irwin.
Oh, awesome.
So,
Oh, nice.
Very cool.
Nice.
There's an opening in that world.
because of Steve Irwin.
Oh,
His son took over. His son's doing
man.
pretty awesome things.
Is he?
Yeah.
So there's
yeah.
just a snapping turtle in some pond right now? Snapping
Yeah,
in a
but
pond?
so I don't know if you guys know, there's already snapping turtles in a lot of ponds. So
True.
yeah, I've seen them. I've seen them at the lake to where
Yeah,
if
the
I
lake's north of here, right?
yeah, if they're everywhere. They're in ponds all over. So
okay.
The one that I've seen in the wild, you would probably be scared to go.
How do you know when it's a snapping turtle? Because we have a pond behind our house, but
because of
there's
the way
turtles.
it looks.
I don't know. I'm guessing there might be. What does it
Yeah.
look like?
So like a normal like painter or like a pond slider are gonna be like a smoother shell. It's still hard, and then they'll have like colors, different variations on their skin, like red or like yellow stripes.
Oh, okay.
A snapping turtle is gonna be like it'll look black, but they're actually like brown, but they're mucky, so it's like a mixture of black and brown. Just a much more rugged face. They get much bigger. Their claws are just insane. And then when they snap, like the other turtles will bite. And that's the thing all the time. People will be like, oh, like I'll have like a little painter. And then it'll be like, I'm trying to bite. They're like, oh, is it a snapper? No. A snapper, its neck comes way out and it chomps. So when those things get really big, they could easily take off a finger or sometimes a hand, depending on the size.
So a hand?
Yeah, the ones I've seen,
Oh, my
I'm
goodness.
sure they could, to be honest with you. 'Cause-
Jake's lake famous though. Like all the kids, they follow him around, and because you'll see Jake at the lake, and it'll just be talking to him, and he'll just take off, and go
Yeah.
grab
Yeah,
like
I always
turtle.
gotta catch one.
And what lake is this?
Big long.
There you go, everybody.
Yep.
Big long lake.
Yeah, oh,
Turtle.
yeah.
Turtle hunting.
Turtle man, turtle man there.
Turtle man.
Oh yeah, I was literally always just turtle man.
You
stuff
should
like
start
that.
You should start a show.
I know. I always thought about it. But there was. I mean, I would have to get a crew and everything because one time I did. I was running onto the dock, and you have to go pretty fast because people say the turtles are slow in the water. They're pretty fast, and I'm running out, and I have my phone in my pocket, and as I'm running out, I hear a bloop behind me.
Oh no!
But I'm like, I still got to get the turtle. I got it. Don't worry. I did catch the turtle.
But you lost
But
your
then
phone.
I turned out and the phone was gone. And it was in the pond. It was just in the muck. But I mean, I searched around for like 2 hours and finally found it. Still worked. But I was like, maybe leave the phone. Maybe leave the phone on shore.
plan.
Not in my pocket
Put it
when
in
I'm turtle hunting.
one of those watertight, those airtight
Yep.
bags.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wet bag, I think. they
Wet
call it.
bags?
Yeah.
Wet bag.
Oh yeah. I had a waterproof, screen protector and everything. But yeah, I just need to get a GoPro and just hook it up, just head mount.
There you go.
Keep it going.
I'll tell you what, guys, this was fun. Just having
was
a
good fun.
conversation.
Yeah.
We haven't done this, so just having a conversation with you guys, knowing more about you. That's what this was about. So
Yeah.
I'm glad we did
Well,
this.
I hope our viewers feel the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah. DM us if you have any questions about turtles.
Sound good.
Or just go up to Big Long Lake on a weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jake,
I'll show you
the
how it's
turtle
done.
man.
Jake's a turtle.
Fly me to the moon.